What's going on, guys? So in this video, we're going to be talking everything clubs and maces. And I'm going to be answering the most common questions that I get with them. And that is going to be 1, what is the difference between them? 2, which one is better? 3, where can I get them? And then 4, and the most important question, and that is, what weight should I get when I'm first starting out? So first things first, what is the difference between them? The club is going to be this shorter one that tends to look like a bowling pin or a little mini baseball bat. That is what I tend to hear the most from people. And then the mace is going to be this longer one, which usually has a little ball on the top. This one just happens to have a head. That is the one that I have access to with me right now. But it's going to be a little bit longer, and most of the weight is at the top. And then that club is going to be just a little bit shorter, and again, look like a little bowling pin or a baseball bat. Now, in terms of what's the difference with what you get out of them, they are going to be very similar. For both of these pieces of equipment, you're going to be doing exercises that are going to get you rotating, improving your shoulder mobility, improving strength in your lats, your grip, your biceps, your shoulders, your lower back, and a ton of upper body. And then you're also going to be doing a decent amount of muscular endurance with them. So whichever one you do end up getting or whichever one you're using, those are going to be similarities, and whatever exercise you're doing with them, those are going to be the primary benefits with it. So what is the difference between the two of them? Now, when it comes to using a steel club, since it is shorter, in my opinion, there's a little bit less technique that needs to be learned. Since you don't have as long of an object, there's not as much momentum going on with it, although there still is some, but there's just not going to be as much, and it's going to be a little simpler to learn some of the swinging exercises when it comes to the steel club. Also, what I found too with the steel club is because it's a little bit shorter, there's going to be a little bit more strength and power required with it. There's a little bit more just what I call oomph in some of the exercises, specifically the swinging ones, because it's not as long. You're going to have to use a little bit more muscle and just a little bit more power when you are swinging the steel club around. So it tends to, in my opinion, promote just a little bit more raw strength and raw power. And then with the steel mace, because it is longer, there's going to be a little bit more stability and core work going on with it because you have this longer lever and you're going to need to be a little bit more controlled. Now with that, it requires a little bit more technique, in my opinion, at least from using it myself and just kind of coaching other people on it. There is a little bit more of a learning curve when it comes to the steel mace because you have this longer piece and you can't muscle it as much as you can with the steel club. So the mace is going to require just a little bit more technique, probably a little bit more patience, and just a little bit more timing as the long piece and the long head of the mace is kind of swinging behind you, primarily with 360s and 10 and 2s and some of the other swinging exercises. There's going to be a little bit more of that when it comes to doing those exercises, and you're going to have a little bit better timing and a little bit less raw strength when it comes to the steel mace. Now, that's going to be the biggest difference with them. There are going to be some exercises that you can do with the steel club you probably can't do with the mace, and then vice versa. Mace is probably going to be a little bit more stability-based because of the longer length of it. You can hold it out just a little bit farther, so there's going to be more like stability and core exercises with it. And with the steel club tending to be a little bit heavier in overall weight because it is shorter that you can use, you might just get a little bit more strength out of it. So those are going to be some little differences, but overall, the difference is going to be that the steel club is a little bit shorter, so there's a little less technique needed and less of a learning curve, a little bit more strength, a little bit more power required with it. And then the steel mace, since it is longer, is going to be a little bit more of a learning curve, but you get a lot more technique work with it. You get a lot more core stability and just a little bit more flow with it. Okay, so which one is better? Now, this is going to be a little dependent on the person and what you're kind of looking to get out of it. Now, the first thing I will say, so usually when people are asking which one's better, they want to know which one to get first. Now, my personal preference is to get a club first. I just like clubs a little bit better. But at the end of the day, it comes down to which one you think you're going to use more, which one you like better. If a mace looks cooler, get a mace. If a club looks cooler, get a club. Like I was saying before, when it comes to the difference of them, it kind of blended into which one's better. It comes down to what you're looking to use it for. If you're looking for a little bit more strength and power, then I think the club is going to be a little bit better for you. If you're looking for more versatility, I also think the club is going to be a little better. I feel that there are more things that you can do with the club. If you were looking for a little bit more flowy, maybe a little bit more muscular endurance and a little more core stability and balance, then the steel mace might be a little bit better for you. Again, it comes down to what you're looking to do with the piece of equipment. And again, the most important thing at the end of the day is which one do you think you're going to use more and enjoy using more. At the end of the day, that's going to be which one is better for you. I personally just like clubs, so I tend to lean toward clubs a little bit more. But if you think the mace is cooler, go get it. So where do you get these things? They are not the most common pieces of equipment, obviously. Now, they are starting to become a little bit more common, but they are still not as mainstream as dumbbells and barbells, and you might have to go digging for them when it comes to getting them. There are a bunch of different companies that make them. A few of the ones out there are going to be White Line Athletics, Great Lakes Era. If you are looking for adjustable maces or clubs, ADX is going to be a company that makes adjustable clubs and maces. So if you don't feel like buying a bunch of them, that is a great piece of equipment, especially if you have a home gym and you're a little bit tight on equipment. There's another company called CK Maceworks that makes both adjustable maces and adjustable clubs, and that is another great option. My personal favorite company is going to be Onnit. I kind of just have a little like nostalgia with them. They are the ones that got me into the maces and clubs, so I just like to get them from there. They make really good stuff. Too, on top of everything, but I just have a little nostalgia with them, and I really like to get my stuff from Onnit if I can, because they are the company that introduced me to all the maces clubs, a lot of kettlebell stuff, and the best part about Onnit is I can get you a little bit of a discount. So if you click the link in the description to Onnit's website and use code PATD, you can get 10% off, and that can be a little helpful when it comes to buying something like weights, because as we know, the prices can add up a little bit. So again, all of those companies that I named out are going to be really good companies. I just have a little soft spot when it comes to Onnit as a company, when it comes to getting Onnit maces and clubs. All right, the most important question, that is, what weight should you start with when you were getting these things? Now, for the clubs and maces, I'm going to say is if you were just getting one, all right? You can do a lot of double club stuff. It tends to be a little bit more complex. I think you're better off just getting one to start. So if you are a male getting a club, I recommend getting a 25-pound club. If you are a female, I recommend getting a 15-pound club. If you are a male getting a mace, I recommend getting a 15-pound one. If you are a female getting a mace, I recommend getting the 10-pound one. Now, something to remember with this is I always lean a little bit more towards getting the weight that might be in the beginning a little too heavy, because you're going to grow into it. And especially with these pieces of equipment, you can choke up on it. So what I mean by that is instead of holding the mace down here, you hold it up here to make it easier, and so on, all right? So if you can't hold your mace or club at the bottom of it just yet, you can always choke up and just make it a little bit easier. That's something that's gonna be really important as you are kind of learning and building into using both of these pieces of equipment. Like I said, I like to gear towards getting a little bit heavier because you can grow into it, as opposed to getting the weight that might be perfect right out of the gate, because you're gonna grow out of it pretty quickly. And if you're not someone who wants to have 2, 3, 4, 5 maces or clubs laying around, then you're gonna be better off going with that weight that's just a little bit heavier. There are very simple ways to make them easier by just choking up. And maybe you do different exercises where maybe you don't hold it out as far or whatever it is. Again, there's a lot of different stuff that you can do with these things and a lot of different ways that you can make them easier. But those are going to be my recommended starting weights. If you feel that you are a overly strong male or female, maybe you can go 5 pounds heavier. But I've had a lot of horror stories of people messaging me on Instagram and TikTok and stuff saying, yo, I bought one that is way too heavy. I messed up. What's the recommended starting weight? So I've had pretty good success recommending those weights to people. Again, 25 pounds for a club if you're a male, and 15 pounds for females, 15 pounds on the mace for men, and 10 pounds for the women. So I would highly recommend getting those weights if you are brand new. At the end of the day, you can always get one that's just a little bit heavier, or just do more reps if it starts to get a little bit too light. So again, a lot of stuff you can do with these things. They are awesome pieces of equipment. If you don't know which one to get, just go which one you think is going to be cooler. If you can get both, that is obviously awesome. If you want my personal opinion, I say get the club first. That is just what I like to use a little bit more, so I'm just giving you that piece of information. Guys, I hope you got some value out of this video. If you have any more questions about steel clubs or maces, please do not hesitate to go ahead and comment below, and I will do my best to answer any questions that you might have about them. I'll see you guys next time.